Captain Do-hyun Kim stood at the bridge of the EDF Dauntless, his eyes fixed on the massive alien ship that had appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system. The ship was beautiful, its silver hull gleaming like polished mirrors in the distant sunlight. It was 3 times the size of his vessel, yet it moved with incredible grace. "Captain, they're sending another message," said Lieutenant Yuri, her fingers moving quickly across the communications panel. "They're requesting permission to dock with us." Do-hyun took a deep breath. This was humanity's first official contact with alien life. Everything they did from this point would shape Earth's future. "Grant them permission," he said. "Alert the welcome team to assemble in Docking Bay 3. The alien ship's docking procedure was perfect, almost too perfect. Do-hyun and his team waited as the airlock cycled. When the doors finally opened, they saw their first aliens. The visitors were tall and slender, with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer. They moved carefully, as if Earth's gravity was too strong for them. Their leader, who introduced herself as Ambassador Melra, looked at the humans with 4 wide, purple eyes. "We are surprised," Melra said through her translator device. "Our scans show this vessel maintains Earth normal conditions. How are you all standing so easily?" Do-hyun looked confused. "These are normal conditions for us. Is something wrong?" The aliens exchanged worried looks. One of them, a scientist named Taelin, stepped forward with a scanning device. "Captain Kim, your planet, Earth. It is what we classify as a Class 12 death world. The gravity alone should make movement difficult. The atmospheric pressure, the temperature variations, the levels of oxygen." He paused, checking his readings again. "By our standards, your world should be uninhabitable." The human crew members looked at each other, trying not to smile. Do-hyun maintained his professional composure. "Perhaps we should continue this discussion in the conference room. We can show you our environmental data." As they walked, Taelin kept scanning. "Fascinating. Your muscles have incredible density. Your skeletal structure, remarkable. And your bodies are full of. Are those repair nanites?" "No," Yuri explained. "Those are just our natural cells. We call them white blood cells. They fight disease." The aliens stopped walking. "You mean your bodies automatically repair themselves, without technology?" "Of course," Do-hyun said. "Doesn't everyone's?" Ambassador Melra's translator made a strange sound as she spoke quickly to her team. "Captain Kim, we represent the Galactic Council. We found your world because of your recent faster-than-light test flights. We came expecting to find a young species taking its first steps into space. Instead," she paused, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "Instead, we find you have evolved in conditions that would kill most sentient species in minutes." Do-hyun noticed the aliens were already breathing heavily. "Would you like us to lower the gravity in the conference room?" he offered. "We can reduce it to 70% of Earth normal." "Please," Melra said, relief clear in her voice. "And if possible, could you reduce the oxygen level slightly? It's quite intense." As the environmental controls adjusted, Do-hyun watched the aliens relax. He thought about all the science fiction stories humans had written about meeting aliens. They had imagined so many scenarios, but nobody had predicted this. Nobody had guessed that humans would be the scary ones. "Ambassador," he said carefully, "I hope this doesn't affect our potential friendship. We would very much like to learn about your civilization." Melra made a gesture that the translator indicated was a smile. "Captain, my report to the Council will be very interesting. You humans are clearly far more remarkable than we initially believed. I think this is the beginning of a fascinating relationship." She paused, then added, "Though I suggest we hold future meetings on our ship. The conditions here are quite challenging." Do-hyun smiled and nodded. As he looked at his crew, he could see them all thinking the same thing. Humanity's place in the galaxy would be very different from what they had imagined. They weren't going to be the primitive newcomers, They were going to be the mysterious, powerful species that evolved in conditions others could barely survive. "Let's begin our discussions," Du Hyun said. "We have much to learn from each other." The first contact between humanity and the Galactic Council lasted 6 hours. By the end, the aliens were exhausted just from being in Earth normal conditions, even at reduced levels. But they were also excited. They had discovered something unprecedented, a species that didn't just survive on a death world, but thrived on it. 1 month after first contact, the Galactic Council's chief xenobiologist Raven arrived at the newly established Earth Research Center in Seoul. The facility had been specially modified to accommodate alien researchers, with separate sections maintaining different atmospheric conditions and gravity levels. Raven walked carefully in the human section, her environmental suit humming as it helped her cope with Earth's gravity. She watched through the observation window as Jin-Woo Park, her primary research subject, ran on a treadmill. The young scientist had volunteered to help the aliens understand human capabilities. "Remarkable," Raven said, checking her instruments. "He has been running for 2 hours, and his body shows only minimal signs of fatigue. How is this possible?" Dr. Hanbit, the human medical supervisor, looked up from her tablet. "This is normal for trained humans. Jin-Woo runs marathons as a hobby." Raven's 4 eyes widened. "What is a marathon?" "A running race of 42.2 kilometers. Hanbit explained. "Thousands of humans participate in these races for fun." The alien scientist almost dropped her scanner. "For fun? You run such distances. For entertainment." At that moment, Jin-Woo completed his session and walked over to them, barely breathing hard. He grabbed his water bottle and took a long drink. Raven quickly scanned the water. "This liquid is nearly pure H2O, she said with alarm. "Where are the nutritional supplements? The stabilizing compounds?" Jin-Woo smiled. "We just call it water. It's all we need for hydration." Raven made quick notes on her tablet. The council had sent her to study humans because they didn't believe the initial reports about human capabilities. Now she understood why. Everything about these creatures defied conventional biological wisdom. Later that day, she observed Jin-Woo in the facility's cafeteria. He sat down with a cup of dark liquid that her scanners immediately identified as containing high levels of caffeine. "Stop," Raven called out. "That beverage contains a dangerous stimulant toxin." Jin-Woo paused with the coffee cup halfway to his lips. "Oh, it's just coffee. Most humans drink it every day. It helps us wake up in the morning." Raven's translator made a strange sound as she tried to process this information. "You intentionally consume toxins to alter your consciousness every day. Would you like to see something really interesting?" Dr. Hanbit asked. She led Raven to the medical bay and showed her a series of X-rays. "These are from one of our construction workers. He broke his leg last month." Raven studied the images carefully. The bone structure is completely shattered in the first image. But she flipped through the subsequent scans. "This is impossible. The bone has nearly regenerated in just 4 weeks." "Humans have remarkable healing capabilities," Hanbit explained. "Our bodies are constantly repairing themselves." Raven spent the rest of the day reviewing medical records. She learned about humans who had survived falling from great heights, who had recovered from severe injuries, who had lived through conditions that would have killed any other known species. The more she learned, the more fascinated she became. That evening, she sent her preliminary report to the Galactic Council. She wrote about human endurance, their robust immune systems, their ability to heal, and their remarkable adaptability. She included detailed notes about their consumption of stimulants, their resistance to temperature variations, and their extraordinary strength in what other species considered high gravity. In conclusion, she wrote, "Humans are not simply adapted to their death world environment. They have thrived because of it. Their bodies are constantly ready for challenges that would be fatal to most species. They casually engage in activities that we would consider extreme survival situations. Most remarkably, They seem entirely unaware of how extraordinary their capabilities are. As she finished her report, Raven looked through the window at the Seoul skyline. Millions of humans lived in this city, going about their daily lives in conditions that would require extensive life support for any other species. They had built a civilization in an environment that the Council had classified as nearly uninhabitable. We have much to learn from them, she added to her report, but we must also proceed with caution. Any species that considers a Class 12 death world to be comfortable must be treated with appropriate respect. Jin Woo knocked on her door, carrying 2 cups. "Would you like to try some tea?" he asked. "It's much milder than coffee." Raven looked at her scanners, then at the friendly smile on Jin Woo's face. Sometimes, she thought, science required personal courage. "Yes," she said. "I would like that." The Galactic Council's Grand Sports Arena on Alpha Centauri Station was filled with representatives from 50 different species. The first interstellar athletic competition had drawn participants from across the galaxy. Among them stood Hae-Nul Lee, Earth's primary representative. The human athlete looked around at her competition. Some were tall and slender, others short and strong. Many wore environmental suits to cope with the station's standardized atmosphere. Hae-Nul adjusted her simple athletic wear, feeling somewhat underdressed compared to the high-tech gear others wore. "Welcome, competitors," announced Chief Administrator Valon through the Universal Translator. "Today's competition will test strength, speed, endurance, and adaptability. Each event has been designed to accommodate all species fairly." Hae-Nul listened as Valon explained the rules. The competition would include lifting challenges, running events, swimming trials, and climbing tests. Each species could choose their best events and rest between them. The human competitor wishes to participate in all events. Valon asked, checking his datapad again. "Without rest periods?" "That's correct," Hae-Nul said. "We don't need long recovery times." Murmurs spread through the crowd. The Galactic Council's medical team approached her with concern. "This is inadvisable," their chief medical officer said. "The physical strain could be dangerous." Hae-Nul smiled politely. "I understand your concern, but this is normal for human athletes. We train for multiple events." The first event was the strength challenge. Competitors had to lift weights in the station's artificial gravity. Many species struggled, even with their mechanical assistance. When Hae-Nul's turn came, she lifted the weight smoothly. The aliens watched in amazement as she completed her sets without any technological aid. "Incredible muscle density," one alien scientist muttered, scanning her. "The gravity doesn't seem to affect her at all." Next came the running event. Most species completed their single lap around the station's track and then retired to recovery pods. Hae-Nul not only finished her lap but continued running. The alien spectators watched in fascination as she maintained a steady pace for multiple laps. "Should we stop her?" an official asked nervously. "Her vital signs are stable," the medical officer replied, studying the monitors. "She appears to be enjoying herself." The swimming trials took place in a specially designed pool that accommodated different species' needs. Hae-Nul dove in and showed remarkable adaptability to the water environment. While other competitors needed breathing apparatus, she simply held her breath for extended periods. Humans can temporarily stop breathing. A young alien asked its parent, and they do this for sport. The climbing challenge proved most revealing. The course included varying gravity zones and environmental hazards, while other species carefully navigated one section at a time. Hae-Nul moved continuously. She adapted to each zone's conditions without pausing, her body automatically adjusting to the changing environments. By the end of the day, Hae-Nul had completed every event. She stood on the observation deck, drinking water, and watching the sunset over Alpha Centauri. Other competitors approached her with a mixture of awe and curiosity. "How do you maintain such activity levels?" asked Myra, a graceful athlete from a low-gravity world. "Our scientists say it should be impossible." Hanul considered the question. On Earth, we have many different environments: hot deserts, frozen mountains, deep oceans. Our bodies evolved to handle these changes. What seems extreme to you is just normal for us. The station's news system broadcast the competition results across the galaxy. Headlines emphasized not just Hanul's performance, but the remarkable fact that she had competed in all events consecutively. The Galactic Council's sports committee immediately began revising their competition guidelines. That evening, Hanul received a message from Earth's diplomatic team. The competition had done more than showcase human athletic abilities. It had demonstrated humanity's exceptional adaptability to the galaxy. Several species had already requested human advisors for their own training programs. As Hanul packed her simple gear, she noticed the alien athletes watching her with new respect. They had come to the competition expecting to showcase their species' strengths. Instead, they had learned an important lesson about the remarkable capabilities that could evolve on a death world. Perhaps next time, Hanul said to the organizers, we could make the challenges a bit more interesting. The universal translator struggled to convey the meaning of her smile, but the message was clear. Humans were just getting started. The emergency alarms at Proxima Control Station blared through the night shift. Sun Nikang, leader of Earth's emergency response team, studied the holographic display showing Proxima's mining colony. A massive solar storm was approaching the planet, threatening the lives of 300 miners trapped underground. The colony's shields are failing, reported Controller Divin, his blue skin pale with worry. Our emergency teams cannot reach them. The radiation levels are too high, and the storm is creating magnetic interference that disrupts our protective fields. Sunme looked at the data readings. The conditions were extreme: high radiation, electromagnetic interference, and temperatures that could melt standard equipment. She turned to her human rescue team. The miners have 6 hours of air left, she said. The alien rescue ships can't get through the storm. We're their only hope. Her team nodded. They had trained for situations like this on Earth, practicing rescues in nuclear zones and natural disasters. While other species relied on protective technology, humans had learned to work even when their equipment failed. Our ships can't get through either, said Dongha, her technical expert. But we have the new thermal suits. We could walk. The alien controllers stared at them in shock. Walk? On the surface? During a solar storm? Davin's translator crackled with interference. That's suicide. Sunmed checked her suit's systems. The new thermal suits were based on deep-sea diving equipment from Earth, modified for space use. They weren't as comfortable as alien protective technology, but they were much more durable. We've survived worse on Earth, she said. Remember the Fukushima cleanup. This is just another day at work. Her team of 6 suited up quickly. They carried basic rescue equipment and emergency air supplies. The alien medical staff watched in horror as they prepared to step out onto the planet's surface. Your species continues to amaze and terrify us, Davin said as they entered the airlock. Good luck. The storm hit them as soon as they stepped outside. The wind howled, carrying particles that sparkled with deadly radiation. Their suits' external sensors failed almost immediately, but the humans pressed on. They had trained to navigate without electronics, using physical markers and backup mechanical compasses. 2 kilometers to the mine entrance, Sunmai called through their suit radios. Stay together. Watch each other's backs. They walked through conditions that would kill most species instantly. Their suits grew hot from the radiation, but the cooling systems held. When they reached the mine entrance, they found the security doors sealed by power failures. Manual override, Sunmai ordered. Her team attached mechanical winches to the doors. In the high gravity and storm conditions, it took all their strength to turn the handles. But they did it. Inside the mine, they found the miners huddled in emergency shelters. The aliens were shocked to see rescue workers arrive on foot. You walked through the storm? Asked the mine supervisor. How is that possible? We're human, Dongha said, helping them connect emergency air supplies. This is what we do. The rescue took hours. They guided the miners through the storm in groups, using their bodies to shield the weaker aliens from the worst of the wind. By the time they brought the last group to safety, their suits were heavily damaged, but every human on the team survived. In the medical bay, as doctors checked them for radiation exposure, Sun Mai received a message from the Galactic Council. They wanted to establish a permanent human-led emergency response force. No other species had demonstrated such ability to function in extreme conditions without technological support. You went out in conditions that would kill most species even with full protection, Davin said, still amazed. And you did it to save people you didn't even know. Sun Lei looked at her tired team. They were already discussing improvements to their suits for next time. Humans don't like to abandon anyone, she explained. On our world, the most dangerous conditions often bring out our best qualities. The story of the Proxima rescue spread quickly through the galaxy. It wasn't just that humans had survived impossible conditions, they had done it to save others. The galaxy was beginning to understand that humanity's greatest strength wasn't just their physical capabilities, but their determination to use those abilities to help others. The Dominion fleet appeared without warning at the edge of Council space. Their massive warships, dark and threatening, moved swiftly toward the human colonies. The Dominion, a species from a low-gravity world, believed their advanced technology made them invincible. They had never encountered humans before. Captain Boram Park stood on the bridge of the Earth defense vessel steadfast, watching the enemy ships approach. The Council's warning had arrived just minutes ago, but his crew was already at battle stations. They're targeting our farming colonies first, his tactical officer, Hawan, reported. They think we'll be easy to defeat because we're new to space travel. Boram studied the tactical display. The Dominion ships were impressive, with powerful shields and advanced weapons. But they had one weakness. They relied completely on their technology. Send word to all colonies, Boram ordered. Initiate Protocol Earthquake. Across 3 star systems, human colonists sprang into action. Instead of evacuating, they moved underground. The Dominion ships arrived to find seemingly abandoned settlements. Sir, they're landing ground forces, Hawan reported. They think they've won already. Boram smiled. The Dominion forces, in their heavy environmental suits, moved slowly in Earth normal gravity. They entered the empty colonies, searching for resources to steal. Then the humans struck back. In the farming colony of New Buzan, Chief Security Officer Jai-Yun led her team through maintenance tunnels. They wore simple breathing masks instead of full environmental suits. This allowed them to move quickly and quietly. Remember, Jai-Yun whispered to her team, they can't function without their suit systems. Target their environmental controls. The humans emerged from hidden entrances, striking fast. The Dominion soldiers, expecting to find helpless civilians, instead faced opponents who could outmaneuver them in high gravity. Their advanced weapons proved useless in close combat against humans who could move 3 times faster than them. In orbit, Boram's fleet executed their own plan. The Dominion ships had superior weapons, but their crews couldn't handle rapid maneuvers in battle. Human ships performed turns and accelerations that would have killed other species. They're breaking formation, Hawan reported. Their crews are getting sick from our evasive maneuvers. On the colony worlds, the ground battles turned into a nightmare for the invaders. Human colonists used their knowledge of high-gravity combat to devastating effect. They disabled environmental suits, forcing the Dominion soldiers to retreat or suffer in conditions their bodies couldn't handle. This is impossible. The Dominion commander transmitted, you're supposed to be primitive. We evolved on a world that tries to kill us every day. Boram responded, did you really think we would be easy to defeat? The battle lasted 3 days. The Dominion forces, unable to cope with human tactics and Earth normal conditions, retreated in disorder. They had lost half their fleet and most of their ground forces without conquering a single colony. In the aftermath, the Galactic Council called an emergency session. The human ambassador presented evidence of the Dominion's attacks and their defeat. The council members watched in amazement as recordings showed humans fighting in conditions that would incapacitate most species. "We must understand," the council leader said, "that humanity's greatest weapon isn't their technology. It's their ability to fight and survive in environments that most species consider lethal." Bo-Ram received a new message from Earth Command that evening. The Council had requested human military advisors to help prepare other species for future threats. Humanity's reputation had changed again. They were no longer just the strange Deathworlders, but protectors of the galaxy. "Send a message to all colonies," Bo-Ram ordered. "Tell them they performed exactly as we trained. And remind everyone, this is why we never stop preparing for the worst. Because sometimes, being scary is the best way to keep the peace." The Dominion never attempted another invasion of Council space. The story of their defeat by primitive humans spread throughout the galaxy. The message was clear. The species that evolved on a death world had become the galaxy's most effective defenders. Commander Tai-Ho Yoon stood before a group of alien trainees at the newly established Interspecies Defense Academy on Mars. The facility had been designed to accommodate beings from 20 different worlds, with special environmental chambers for each species. Today marked the beginning of the first joint training program. "Welcome to survival training," Tai-Ho said, his words being translated into multiple languages. "You are here because your worlds want to learn how humans survive in harsh conditions. We will teach you, but first you must understand our methods." The alien trainees looked uncertain. Many wore environmental suits to protect them from Mars' gravity, which was lighter than Earth's but still challenging for most species. Among them was Keri, a skilled warrior from a low-gravity world, who had volunteered to be the first of her kind to attempt human-style training. "Today, we start with basic physical conditioning," Tai-Ho announced. "We will work without technological assistance." Keri stepped forward. "Commander, with respect, my species cannot function without our gravity compensators. It is physically impossible." Tai-Ho walked to a display screen showing human medical data. "When humans first went to space, we couldn't function in zero gravity. Our bodies grew weak. But instead of relying on technology, we developed exercises to keep our muscles strong. We adapted. You can do the same." Over the next several weeks, Tai-Ho and his team worked with each species to develop custom training programs. They started slowly, helping alien bodies adjust to slightly higher gravity levels. The medical bay remained busy, but there were no serious injuries. Keri proved to be an excellent student. Though she struggled at first, she refused to give up. After 1 month, she could move in Mars gravity for short periods without her suit. It was a remarkable achievement that surprised even her own species scientists. "How do you humans do this?" she asked Tai-Ho during a rest period. "How do you stay so strong without technological help?" "On Earth, we face challenges every day," he explained. "Earthquakes, storms, temperature changes. We learned long ago that we cannot always rely on technology. Our bodies and minds must be ready for anything." The training program expanded to include survival scenarios. The alien trainees learned to navigate without electronic guides, to find water in desert conditions, and to survive extreme temperature variations. Many of these skills had been forgotten by species that relied on advanced technology. One day, during a simulated emergency, the facility's power systems failed. The alien trainees' environmental suits switched to backup power. Instead of panicking, they remembered their training. Working together, they helped each other reach safety, using the physical techniques they had learned. Tai-Ho watched with pride as Keri led her team through the crisis. She moved with confidence now, her body adapted to the higher gravity. When the power returned, the alien trainees celebrated their success. "Commander," Keri said, "I understand now what you've been teaching us. It's not just about physical strength. It's about believing we can adapt and survive." The Galactic Council received regular reports about the training program's progress. Many were shocked to learn that various species could actually adapt to higher gravity and harsh conditions. It challenged their long-held beliefs about biological limitations. As the first class prepared to graduate, Taiho organized a demonstration for council officials. The alien trainees performed rescue operations and survival tasks that would have been impossible for them months earlier. They had not become as strong as humans, but they had far exceeded their own expectations. This is more than just military training, Taiho told the council representatives. We are sharing the most important lesson humanity has learned, that intelligent beings can adapt to almost anything if they are willing to work hard and never give up. The Interspecies Defense Academy became a symbol of the new partnership between humans and the council races. It proved that the skills humans had gained from their harsh homeworld could benefit the entire galaxy. More importantly, it showed that what made humans special wasn't just their physical capabilities, but their determination to help others become stronger. Dr. Min-Seo Choi stood in the ancient ruins on Mars, her heart racing with excitement. Her research team had spent 3 years studying the strange symbols carved into the underground chamber walls. Today, they had finally translated the last section of text. This can't be right, she said, checking her translations again. Professor Neri, please verify these findings. The alien archaeologist moved carefully in her environmental suit, examining the wall markings with her advanced scanning equipment. The translation is correct, Dr. Choi. This chamber tells the story of Earth's creation. Min-Seo called an emergency meeting with the Joint Human-Alien Scientific Council. Representatives from 20 different worlds gathered in the conference room at the Mars Research Center. The room was divided into different environmental zones to accommodate all species comfortably. We have discovered something extraordinary. Min-Seo began, displaying the translated text on the main screen. These ruins were left by an ancient species that called themselves the Shapers. They were master geneticists who conducted experiments across the galaxy. The council members listened intently as she explained. According to the records, Earth had been specially designed as a testing ground. The Shapers had deliberately created its harsh conditions, high gravity, extreme temperatures, dangerous wildlife, and powerful natural disasters. They wanted to see what kind of life would evolve in such conditions. Min-Seo continued. Earth was their most extreme experiment. They made it significantly more challenging than any other inhabited world. Professor Neri added her findings. The Shapers believed that only truly exceptional life forms could survive on Earth. They wanted to create beings that could adapt to any condition, that would grow stronger through adversity. The council chamber erupted in discussion. This discovery explained so much about human capabilities. It explained why Earth was so much more dangerous than other worlds, why humans had evolved to be so remarkably resilient. There's more, Min-Seo said, showing new images from the ruins. The Shapers left markers in human DNA, special sequences that would help us survive and adapt. But they didn't control our development. They simply created the conditions and waited to see what would emerge. A council member from a low-gravity world spoke up. So humans are the result of an ancient experiment. This explains their unusual capabilities. Min-Seo shook her head. We're not engineered beings. Earth's harsh conditions forced us to adapt and grow strong. The Shapers only created the environment. Everything else, our strength, our adaptability, our determination, we developed on our own. The implications of this discovery spread quickly through the galaxy. Some species were frightened by the idea that humans had evolved in an artificially created death world. Others were fascinated by the scientific achievement. Back in the ruins, Min-Seo made another important discovery. The Shapers had left a message for whoever would eventually find their records. To those who survive our greatest challenge, you have proven yourselves worthy of the stars. Use your strength wisely. Protect those who cannot protect themselves. That evening, Min-Seo sent her final report to Earth Command. She included a personal note. We now know why our world made us so strong. But knowing this doesn't change who we are, or what we should do with our abilities. If anything, it gives us a greater responsibility to use our strength to help others. The galaxy would never look at humans quite the same way again. They were not just random survivors of a death world. They were the successful outcome of the greatest survival experiment in galactic history. But more importantly, they had chosen to use their extraordinary capabilities not for conquest, but for protection and advancement of all species. Admiral Do-hyun Kim stood at the observation deck of Earth's new galactic embassy, looking out at the stars. 5 years had passed since his first contact with the Galactic Council. Now, he watched as ships from 50 different species moved peacefully through Earth's orbit. The Council had just finished its most important session. They had officially named humans as the guardian species of the galaxy. This new role gave Earth significant responsibilities in protecting developing civilizations and maintaining peace. "Admiral," said Raven, entering the observation deck in her environmental suit. The alien scientist had become one of Earth's strongest supporters in the Council. "The ceremony is about to begin." Do-hyun smiled at his old friend. "It's hard to believe how much has changed. When we first met, you thought we were too dangerous to join galactic society." "We were right about you being dangerous," Raven replied. "We just didn't understand that dangerous doesn't always mean threatening." They walked together to the main ceremony hall. The room was divided into different environmental sections to accommodate all species comfortably. Do-hyun saw many familiar faces. Sun Mi-kang, who had led the famous rescue on Proxima. Hae Nu-lee, whose athletic achievements had amazed the galaxy. Commander Tae-ho-yoon, who had trained the first interspecies defense force. The council leader spoke first. "Today marks a new chapter in galactic history. Humans have proven themselves not just survivors, but protectors. Their strength, born from Earth's harsh conditions, now serves all species." Do-hyun thought about how far they had come. Human emergency teams now responded to disasters across the galaxy. Human trainers helped other species become stronger and more self-reliant. Human scientists shared their unique approaches to solving problems. The leader continued, "We now understand that Earth's extreme conditions were created by the ancient shapers. But it was humanity's choice to use their strength to help others that truly makes them worthy of being guardians." After the ceremony, Do-hyun met with his old crew from the EDF Dauntless. Many now commanded their own ships in the Joint Defense Fleet. They talked about their first contact mission and how nervous they had been. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" asked Yuri, his former communications officer. "That being from a death world would become our greatest advantage." "The real advantage wasn't our physical strength," Do-hyun replied. "It was what we learned from living on Earth. We learned to adapt, to help each other, to never give up. Those are the lessons we can teach the galaxy." Later that evening, Do-hyun received a message from a newly discovered civilization. They were nervous about joining the galactic community, worried they weren't advanced enough. The council had asked him to be their guide. "Tell them," Do-hyun wrote in his reply, "that the galaxy is full of wonders they never imagined. Tell them that every species has something valuable to teach others. And tell them that they don't need to be afraid, because humanity stands ready to help them find their place among the stars." As he sent the message, Do-hyun looked again at the stars. Earth had made humans strong, but they had chosen to be kind. They were respected not because they were powerful, but because they used their power to protect others. The title of guardian species wasn't just an honor, it was a responsibility. Humans would continue to grow, to learn, and to help others. They would be the defenders of peace, the teachers of survival, and the proof that even the harshest beginnings could lead to the noblest ends. "We're ready for our next challenge," Do-hyun said softly, watching the ships move through space. "Whatever it may be."